I'm really proud of it. It's 12 tracks, no skips, swear to God.
Welcome to MsMojo, and today we're counting down our picks for the top 20 best movie soundtracks of the decade so far.
I feel pretty, Maria la Alcaldesa, that the city should give me its key.
For this list, we're looking at the soundtracks we've had on repeat since the 2020s began. We're mostly excluding instrumental tracks unless they exist within the world of the film itself. Is our list the soundtrack of the decade, or did we miss some of your faves? Sound off in the comments. Number 20, Top Gun Maverick. On top of its nods to the nostalgic synth-heavy music cues of the original, the soundtrack of Top Gun Maverick is a great bridge between the jams of the 1980s and those of today. While it's shorter on found music than it is on score, Kenny Loggins' Danger Zone and actor Miles Teller's rendition of Great Balls of Fire make for a nostalgic and entertaining listening experience.
Goodness gracious, Great Balls of Fire!
Plus, Hold My Hand, the original ballad by Gaga, is a worthy successor to the 80s arena rock anthems featured in the first movie.
Promise me just hold my hand.
Number 19, Turning Red. Pixar's 2022 coming-of-age allegory Turning Red was like turning back time for millennials who lived through the boy band craze of the late 90s and early 2000s. Composed by siblings Billie Eilish and Phineas O'Connell, the fictional four-town songs about tween-age puppy love have all the upbeat smoothness of NSYNC and the Backstreet Boys in their prime.
I never met nobody like you.
The soundtrack release includes all 3 original songs as well as instrumental versions. And the most amazing thing about them is how much they sound like they could have been lifted right out of the year 2002. It's no wonder May and her friends are losing their minds over these guys. You had to be there.
You never look on my mind.
Number 18, Nope. The soundtrack of Jordan Peele's sci-fi horror flick relies predominantly on Michael Abel's atmospheric musical score and the sound effects of its extraterrestrial villain to build tension. However, that just makes any choices to include pre-existing songs all the more important. From classic hits like Dionne Warwick's Walk On By to a French-language deep cut from the renowned Jodie Foster, it is an eclectic and completely unexpected collection.
La vie c'est chouette quand on a une amourette.
The most effective and memorable number, though, has to be the eerie, down-tempo reworking of the classic Sunglasses at Night by Corey Hart. Slowing the song down to a crawl makes its catchy beat feel threatening, and the distorted synthesizer does wonders to fill us with unbridled dread. Number 17, Everything Everywhere All at Once. Fitting for its title and themes, this score from the acclaimed 2022 movie includes a mishmash of experimental sounds, vocal tracks, and even a take on Debussy's famous Clair de Lune.
Don't let her stop, Jobo!
With guest artists like Mitski, Randy Newman, and Andre 3000 joining composer Sun Lux, the musical roster is as distinctive and innovative as the movie it belongs to.
This is light. Many lives that could have been.
Is it a true soundtrack? Background music? A whole experience? Why not everything all at once? After all, this is a movie that pushes forth the message that things shouldn't always be boxed away in neat packages.
Only meant to give you my all.
Number 16, Tar. When your movie focuses on an award-winning composer-conductor whose entire life is centered around music, the soundtrack had better deliver. Luckily, the one accompanying Tar offers even more than that. Award-winning Icelandic composer Hildur Gudnadottir was tasked with writing original songs for the movie as well as producing them. Along with her original score, the classic ballads, and the tunes characters listen to in the film, the Tar soundtrack also includes audio from the album's actual recording sessions. Gudnadottir and director Todd Field wanted it to reflect, quote, the psychological and emotional aspects and the entire process of what it is to create music. Good. Number 15, Judas and the Black Messiah. This biopic may have been set in the 1970s, but its companion music was headlined by some of today's luminaries of rap and hip-hop.
Stand like a man, do you understand? Create a fist from your hand, do you understand?
Judas and the Black Messiah, the inspired album, is not so much a standard soundtrack as it is a complementary album all its own. Its original songs pay tribute to Fred Hampton and the ideas that inspired the Black Panther Party.
Yo, I'm ill-fated and hated, I'm hella melanated. Blackness is my religion, to that I'm dedicated.
Celebrities like Jay-Z, A$AP Rocky, and Nas join lesser-known but supremely talented artists to provide a whole roster of incisive lyrics and earworm beats. Here's a collection that's definitely worth more than one listen.
And this is what it feels like.
Number 14, Eurovision Song Contest, The Story of Fire Saga. This Will Ferrell and Rachel McAdams musical comedy was a bright spot in the early days of the pandemic.
I saw you, and then all of my eyes turned warning.
Paying tribute to the campy, over-the-top Eurovision Song Contest, the movie is full of tunes that would be more than welcome at the real event. Nothing is a mean-spirited parody either. They're actually really good. These original numbers are composed with the same eye for pop chart catchiness that makes real Eurovision songs successful. Even the playfully filthy Ya Ya Ding Dong sounds like a real drunk anthem. Ferrell appears alongside Demi Lovato and some of Eurovision's heaviest hitters of past and present. But it's McAdams' vocal stand-in, Molly Sandian, who is the true star. Number 13, Cruella. To reboot Disney's supreme villainess as the fashionable Dalmatian-hating girl boss of 1970s London, this soundtrack of curated period rock, punk, and funk classics has to do a lot of the heavy lifting. Outstanding tracks by groups like Blondie, Supertramp, and The Clash place young Cruella in a post-punk environment of designer fashion and rampant criminal activity.
Should I stay or should I go?
After the movie was released, some critics actually thought it relied too much on its expansive acquisition of needle drops. However, when you think of Cruella's soundtrack as a playlist, it really is just banger after banger of the finest and funkiest tunes the 60s and 70s had to offer.
Pleased to meet you, hope you guess my name.
Number 12, Last Night in Soho. This stylish and color-soaked psychological horror takes its musical inspirations from the period. The setting is swinging London during the counterculture movement of the 60s. When our protagonist is time-traveled back to the decade, it's the music that looms large over our senses.
Love is just like a merry-go-round with all the fun and affair.
The soundtrack suitably sets the 60s scene. Director Edgar Wright compiled tracks recorded just before the emergence of psychedelic rock, highlighting the blue-eyed soul of Dusty Springfield, the Merseybeat sounds of the Kinks, and even tracks by the film star Anya Taylor-Joy.
Things will be great when you're downtown.
Number 11, Triple R. The most expensive Indian film ever made. 2022's Triple R had the artists and the budget to craft an incredible and widely acclaimed original score for its soundtrack. Seven original songs appear over the epic action movie's 3-hour runtime. Most popular is the single Natu Natu and its accompanying dance scene. Since its release, Natu Natu has racked up awards and millions of YouTube views. Really though, every song deserves praise. Not only are they full of feeling and spirit, but in the context of the movie, they tie together the story's profound themes of friendship and unity. Number 10, In the Heights. Seeing as this one was adapted from the Tony Award-winning Broadway show, there was no doubt that it would have a killer soundtrack. It also helps that the original writer and composer of the stage play, the acclaimed Lin-Manuel Miranda, also worked on the music for this film version. As is expected, the lively musical numbers are stirring and funny in equal measure.
What do you hear? I hear plenty. They say he's got quite a big taxi. No, maybe.
With rap and salsa influences that reflect the vibrant culture of the neighborhood and its residents, these are meaningfully impressive works. Although the score saw some cuts in its transferal to the big screen, it is undeniable that the album is still filled with wall-to-wall magic. Number 9. Promising Young Woman. Promising Young Woman is a rough watch. This Carey Mulligan-led revenge drama has powerful performances and disturbing subject matter, but it's all supported by a variety of anthemic pop songs by women. Including 2 original tracks by singer-songwriter Sin and existing pop tracks by Paris Hilton, Charli XCX, and Sky Ferreira. The arrangement was widely praised and was even shortlisted for Grammy consideration. Perhaps the movie's most talked about needle drop, however, was the down-tempo strings cover of Britney Spears' Toxic, which takes the upbeat pop hit and turns it into an eerie revenge anthem. Number 8. Birds of Prey. For Harley Quinn's first outing as the leader of her own squad of superheroines, the theme is all about female empowerment. As the DC Universe's femme fatale shoots, kicks, and punches her way through Gotham City's cops and criminals, she's backed by the musical talents of superstars like Megan Thee Stallion, Doja Cat, and Halsey. Mixing hip-hop and rap with hard-driving punk rock, the Birds of Prey soundtrack moves from genre to genre, but always feels like it's unified by the controlled chaos of the movie it comes from. That's fitting, because Harley Quinn is nothing if not chaotic.
I'm a super shero, bitch, don't try me, ho. Bad like a villain, I pop it and then I reload.
Number 7. Elvis. This biopic, anchored by Austin Butler's uncanny performance as the King, would have been great had they stuck to Elvis's hits alone.
Well, you may go to college, you may go to school.
But it's the extra care and star-studded production on the 36-track album that makes this film stand apart. Director Baz Luhrmann carefully constructed the sound of the movie to reflect to modern audiences just how radical this music may have sounded when it was first released.
Well, the bombs just keep flowing, with desk clerks dressed in black.
Featuring many original cuts by the King himself, a new track by Eminem and CeeLo Green, as well as covers by Casey Musgraves, Stevie Nicks, and Italian rock band Måneskin, to name a few. The massive assemblage is a must-listen for any Elvis fan.
You ain't nothing but a hound dog, crying all the time.
Number 6. Black Panther: Wakanda Forever. This sequel had a lot to live up to, both in terms of the movie and the music. While the original Black Panther soundtrack is largely regarded as a new classic, the sequel had a very different sound. Composer Ludwig Göransson took inspiration from Mayan culture for both the score and its companion album. It was a truly international undertaking, with studio time split between America, Mexico, and Nigeria. The result is a moody, energetic, and inspiring collection. Wakanda Forever also includes not 1 but 2 tracks by pop icon Rihanna. Her lead single, Lift Me Up, was written as a tribute to original Black Panther star Chadwick Boseman, who tragically passed away in 2020. Number 5. David Byrne's American Utopia. Some artists go on tour when they release an album. David Byrne took his 2018 American Utopia album to Broadway, and a show was crafted that featured elaborate staging and choreography to complement his eclectic catalog. In 2020, Spike Lee's documentary of the event brought the show and its music to audiences all over. The show sees the former Talking Heads frontmen performing songs with an overarching message of connection and togetherness. That might make it sound hokey, but it's such a joy to listen to.
These slippery people help us understand what's the matter with him.
With its thunderous group numbers, exhilarating beats, and profound lyrics about the human condition, the soundtrack was a much-needed salve in the early days of the COVID pandemic.
Same as it ever was. Same as it ever was.
Number 4. West Side Story. It takes guts to remake what is considered by some to be the best movie musical of all time. Even if you do a good job, there's always going to be comparison.
Tonight, the world is wild and bright.
Steven Spielberg's West Side Story not only clears that hurdle, but some say it might have even bested the original. And the reimagined symphony is a huge part of that success.
I like to be in America, okay by me in America.
Carried by great orchestrations of the Leonard Bernstein music and the voices of uber-talented singer-actors Rachel Zegler, Ariana DeBose, and Rita Moreno. Among so many others, this sweeping soundtrack is everything a musical lover could want.
There is no right or wrong.
Number 3. Soul. While Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross provided the score to Disney Pixar's Soul, it was John Batiste who created the original jazz compositions heard throughout the movie. Soul is the story of a jazz musician navigating the afterlife, so it needed a believable pool of melodies to punctuate the story. Batiste's contributions are bursting with life and the exciting pulse of classic jazz. The album, music from and inspired by Soul, was so well received that it even scored 3 Grammy nominations: Best Improvised Jazz Solo, Best Jazz Instrumental Album, and Best Score Soundtrack for Visual Media, the latter of which it won.
Say it's alright. Say it's alright.
Number 2. Summer of Soul. Questlove's documentary film about the 1969 Harlem Cultural Festival spotlighted long unseen footage from a legendary event.
Don't you hear me calling to you, baby? Don't you hear me calling to you?
This series of concerts, often referred to as Black Woodstock, featured crisp and remastered live performances from some of the biggest African-American musicians of the 60s in their prime. Legends like Nina Simone, B.B. King, Gladys Knight and the Pips, as well as Sly and the Family Stone are just some of the brilliant and timeless artists included. Although the album was released many months after the movie due to rights issues, it charted in both the US and the UK upon its January 2022 release. Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. You have the option to be notified for occasional videos or all of them. If you're on your phone, make sure you go into your settings and switch on notifications. Number 1. Encanto. This Lin-Manuel Miranda piece has topped charts all over the world. It even hit the number 1 spot on the US Billboard 200 for 7 weeks, making it one of only 5 soundtracks to do so.
Welcome to Family Madrigal, the home of the Family Madrigal. We're on our way.
Although the composer looked to the film's setting of Colombia for inspiration in crafting the music of Encanto, its themes of family and trauma clearly resonated with audiences the world over. As far as genre, though, the songs run the gamut. Its most popular tracks are undoubtedly the widely beloved We Don't Talk About Bruno and the surprisingly heartbreaking older sister anthem Surface Pressure.
Under the surface, I had my nerves and it worsens. I worry something is gonna hurt us.
The soundtrack may be too new to call a Disney best, but if its popularity so far is any indication, it is bound to become a staple.
We don't talk about Bruno.
Do you agree with our picks? Check out this other recent clip from MsMojo. And be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos.